your behaviors are more determined by your feelings than they are by your thoughts. The law of state transference, right? Whatever you feel, she feels.
It does suck in the beginning. It's hard because you have to face your insecurities, but when you move through that, it is a lot of fun. It's totally worth it.
If you feel good, she feels good. So don't think you have to say the right thing. There's no such thing as the right thing to say. Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Hey guys, welcome to Practically Famous, where we help you achieve social mastery in your dating and personal relationships. I'm Brad, your host.
And I'm Jake, your co-host.
All right, we got a lot of stories to share from this week. Before we get into it though, just want to encourage you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Help us out with the algorithm. If you feel like you're getting any benefit from this, we'd really appreciate your support. We work really hard to make the podcast happen, and we work really hard to go out and talk to girls so that we can get stories so that we can share them with you guys.
And let us know what you like and don't like so far and what you're more curious about.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this week. Obviously, I've been going out every single night.
Yeah.
Because I got my 90-day challenge going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, how was the week? Because I didn't go out at all until Friday.
It's really great from a getting super comfortable going out perspective. Because even when we're improving, if we only go out twice a week, it still kind of becomes a thing all week where you kind of build up to it. You might build it up in your head like, oh, I got to go out. I got to do this. Whereas now it's like I go out every single night. So I don't even have time to build it up in my head as anything. It's just like what I do now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mondays and Tuesdays are quite slow. And, you know, those nights I went out, it was hard to get the bare minimums done even, but it was still, you know, maybe not hard to get the bare minimums done. There were still enough people that obviously I only had to approach 2 girls this week. So I just had to find 2 girls and go talk to them. Wasn't that crazy, but I basically figure Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty much just going to be about getting the reps in. They're not going to be necessarily hardcore nights where I'm trying to stay out late. Although on Monday night, I actually stayed out for like over 2 hours because I really hit it off with a girl and was hanging out with her for almost like an hour and a half, 2 hours almost.
Where were you at? Where do you usually go Monday, Tuesday?
So Monday, Hi-Fi was the only club that was open in Old Town. So I went to Hi-Fi and Tin was out. He's a club promoter here in Scottsdale. He had a table. So I just went to the table, talked to the people there, and me and one of the girls, you know, she was just visiting with her friend from out of town, and that was like their last night. There wasn't a lot of options out that night either, you know, so it was almost just kind of easy to really connect with the few people that were out.
Yeah, everyone was kind of chill and looking just to connect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then Tuesday night, I just went out to Boondocks. And again, you know, this is actually ironic now that I'm thinking about it. I went out to Boondocks and I had like an hour-long interaction with a girl that was there. I went out a little earlier that night. It was more closer to like dinner time. So I just found a girl who was eating dinner there. She had her dog with her and just started talking to her. And then we ended up hanging out for like an hour. And then I said bye to her. And then I basically just approached another girl on my way out. I think I hit 2 more girls on my way out. And I was like, all right, cool. Good for Tuesday.
Nice. That's
so
cool.
Yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays, slow, not a lot of people out, but both nights I had really long interactions, probably because the night's not so overstimulating. There's not so many people and so much going on. So might actually be an easier night to make deeper connections.
Yeah, to have longer, deeper connections.
Exactly.
Conversations, yeah.
Yeah, and so this coming week is the 3rd week of my 90-day challenge. So I'm going to have to approach 3 girls a night from this point forward. So could start getting a little tougher on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm thinking about exploring the idea of going to more like early happy hours during the week. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe seeing if that's a good vibe, seeing if there's maybe more girls out who like got off work and just, you know, going to hang out happy hour. But obviously not everyone's partying at 11 p.m. midnight on a Monday and Tuesday.
You're telling me not everyone's out there at 11 p.m. on a Monday?
No, there's like 7. There's like 7 of us ratchet folk out there partying
That's
on a
funny.
Monday
at
night.
one table.
Yeah, basically.
That's funny.
You'll get the out of town girls who like just stayed an extra day.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. But yeah, other than that, pretty slow nights, but still easy to get my reps in. So nothing to complain about.
Nice. Yeah. And you're just maintaining momentum too.
Exactly, right? That's why I said Monday, Tuesday. In my mind, it's just about getting reps in, going out, feeling so... I want this stuff to feel so natural to me and so second nature that it's just like, I go out, I walk into a bar or a club or any social venue. It doesn't have to be a bar or club. I can just go anywhere. I see a girl and I'm just like, oh, I go talk to her. And it's not something I think about. It's not like, oh, she's attractive. Should I say something? It's like, oh, girl, go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's happening for me because when we got to the weekend, this past weekend, dude, it was so easy. It was so easy to just walk in and immediately, first person I see, just start talking to them. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I've been getting really good at, actually, is just literally first person I see. First person that comes in my visual field, they're getting talked to.
Yeah, and that's so important too, because it is in the hesitation that you really start to get into your head, right? I think that's like one of the biggest hurdles that guys face when they start is that they hesitate and then they hesitate and hesitate and hesitate and then it's gone. You're way in your head at that point.
Yeah, hesitation breeds more hesitation.
Yeah.
And action breeds more action. So it's super important to start getting yourself into a cycle of taking action.
Yeah.
Because the more action you take, the more your brain just like associates, oh, that's what we're doing right now. We're just talking to people. So we're going. But yeah, if you spend every single approach analyzing if you should or not, right? Oh, there's a girl there. Should I approach her? Well, there's one over there. Should I approach her? Well, there's one over there. Should I approach her? You're going to spiral downward and you're going to get more anxious and you can pull yourself out of that, but it's hard.
It's hard.
It's so hard. So like one of the biggest keys to, especially for beginners trying to get your game going is to take action, like walk into that bar and just start talking to people.
And let go of any expectation of who it needs to be. Talk to anybody, especially if you're not super comfortable talking to girls. Talk to guys, talk to any person just to get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. And that was something last night that I was actually doing really good at. I wasn't judging at all who I was talking to, especially in the first hour of the night. I was just talking to anybody. Anyone in my visual field is in danger of being talked to. But it's cool because I'm good vibes, so it's all good, right?
Yeah, and I think last night it was a great night overall. It was a slow start though, but that was a good way to start it. I feel like I was pretty slow in the beginning last night, and you were talking to everybody, and so that was good because it got us rolling together. So
when you're having a slow start, what do you do to bring your energy up and get the flow going?
I think that my answer to that question has evolved a lot in the last couple months. I think when I was first starting, I was very much of that, like I would hesitate, but then I would have to force myself to set the bar lower and just start talking to anybody. So talk to anybody at the bar, any guy, and I would do just volume to get myself out of that. Mm-hmm. And with no expectation of who I'm talking to. But more recently, I've been really working on being totally comfortable and totally non-judgmental of myself when I'm out, right? So can I go out? Can I enjoy talking to people? But if I'm not talking to somebody in one specific instance, can I still not get in my head at that point? Because I have so many stories about if I'm not talking to somebody, then I should be, but I'm not. And so then I start thinking. So more recently, it's been more of a process of, can I continuously let go of the judgments I have about myself and about the situation around me so that I'm constantly bringing myself back to a place of presence so that at any given moment, I can start talking to somebody and be in a fairly good state, right? That's we've been talking about raising your base level of state. And so for me, that's what that looks like, is to continuously let go of judgment all the time when I'm out so that my base level of state rises. And I like what you said too. I think that we're doing really well with, as soon as we get to the bar when we're going out, we start talking right away.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is because our base level of state is much better.
Absolutely. I don't walk into the bar anymore a nervous wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a much higher baseline level of state, right? Where I'm just feeling comfortable in the scenario. And obviously I'm going out every single night now. So it's really becoming no big deal for me. I'm just not fazed by it. I'm not fazed by other people and worried about them or what they're going to think of me as much as I used to be. At least, especially not in the beginning and like sparking a conversation, just approaching and saying hi to people. That's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
And I think for you too, kind of going back to what you were saying about not judging yourself and allowing yourself to, oh, if I'm having a slow start, I'm having a slow start. I think that's something that's easier for you because you just have so much more experience now.
Yeah.
So you're not freaking out like, when you're new and you learn like, oh, when I go out, I'm supposed to talk to people right away because that's going to help me. And then you don't do it. So then you get in your head about it, right? Because like, well, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But now you're kind of like, yeah, I know I should be doing that, but like, I'm not a super beginner. So I can let myself warm up on my own time. And
it's not even that I think about, I don't even feel like I should be anymore.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm no longer moving from all the beginner exercises that we talk about, that we teach about talking to everybody. I'm not trying to do that anymore. Going out for me is becoming an expression of authenticity. And so if one moment I wanted to take a moment to myself, that's still a form of authenticity.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to let go of the shoulds, should be talking, should not be talking, and just be what is an authentic expression of me in this moment. Sometimes it is just enjoying myself. Straight up enjoying myself.
Yeah. Which is fine if you're actually enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because some guys are like, well, I'm just going to enjoy myself right now. But in your head, you're actually like, oh my God, I'm not enjoying this at all.
Well, like to your point, I'm not a beginner anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I talk to a lot of people every single time I go out, and I have moments where I just chill and relax and enjoy myself. But it doesn't hinder me from starting again and talking to a bunch of people again.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun last night.
Yeah.
A lot of cool girls out, and we started a conversation with these two girls at a bar called Casa, and we started talking to them, and they turned out to be exotic dancers, if you will. And we had so much fun with them. We talked to them for probably a solid 20, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. You saw them right when we walked up to the bar.
Yeah, so the bar, when you walk in line, you can see like the tables and like stuff is right there. So I looked at these two girls. They were looking out over the street. As I walked past them to go in line, I said something to them, like give them a high five or something. I said, oh, I'll be right there. And they're like, okay. And then I walked in, like in less than 30 seconds, I'd walked in the bar and then like beelined straight for them, walked right up to them. And I was like, hey, I'm here. And they were like, oh my God, that was so fast. Absolutely, babe. I came for you. And then we had a really good, really fun interaction with them. They were super chill, super nice.
They were super chill, and it was one of those interactions where it was so much fun flirting with them, and they were just such good vibes, and we were such good vibes. I've been feeling very much lately that I'm just having so much fun when we go out. Like today is Sunday. I never go out on Sundays, but I'm going to go out tonight because
we're going out tonight.
Yeah, we're going out. I just have so much fun when I go out now. And again, letting go of like needing anything to happen, letting go of the shoulds, it really does open you up to have so much more fun. And that's when going out starts to not forcing myself to go out anymore. It's more like I'm being pulled to go out because I enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's so crucial because what's happening is you are rewiring your brain. Your dopamine is getting rewired to want to seek out these experiences.
Yeah, because they're no longer painful.
Yeah, exactly. They're not painful. They're fun, like you're saying. So your brain naturally says, hey, let's go do that fun thing again. I want to do that, right? So you're getting like quote unquote like addiction to going out. You're getting an addiction to talking to girls, to flirting with girls,
I wouldn't use the word addiction.
Yeah, it's not the best word to use.
Yeah, because I'm not covering up any pain, at least not that I'm aware of.
Exactly.
It really is, at least for me right now, it is a positive pull towards going out more often.
Yeah, addiction's probably not the best word because there's not going to be any withdrawals if you stop going out, right?
But I mean, not to say that I'm sure going out is an addiction for some people, right? They use that as a way to avoid feeling negative emotions.
Especially if they drink when they go out.
Exactly, yeah.
But we don't even drink.
We don't drink.
We definitely are not struggling with that. And it's so good because when you're trying to develop a skill, it's good to be motivated to want to continue practicing. And the most motivating thing that can happen is you see improvements.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening for you. You're seeing your improvements. So you're motivated to continue going out to see even more improvements.
Yeah. And for anybody just getting started, it does suck in the beginning. It's hard because you have to face your insecurities. But when you move through that, it is a lot of fun. It's totally worth it to move through that phase.
Absolutely.
So, and for me, it's been like going out like to nightlife. It's been not even a year, just to give everyone a little bit of a time frame of like what to expect. I have been going out a lot over the last year, but if you're going out and you're feeling like you're not becoming more comfortable, just give it more time. It takes time.
It will happen. And if there's any possible way like to increase your frequency of it, because if you go out once a week, it's going to be really tough. And it will get easier over time, but it's going to be really tough, and it might take longer. If you go out twice a week, still going to be tough, but that's really should be the bare minimum.
I was going to say 3 times a week minimum. 4 is great.
I'm doing 7 right now. Yeah. And dude, my resistance is melting away like faster than I can, even imagine. It's so easy for me to go out right now. And I'm only on day 15 right now of my 90-day challenge. So I got another 75 days of this. And I'm already just like, yeah, this is easy. So I'm really excited to see. So 15 days, I'm halfway through the first 30 days. So I'm excited to see what the next 15 days bring. Then I'm really excited to see what days 30 through 90 bring, because those are going to be some truly new times for me, especially in terms of like my sobriety. Because I've made it about 3 weeks to a month, like a couple times in my life, but I've really never experienced what happens after that. And I'm kind of, like you said, I'm rewiring my brain too, to love going out, to having so much fun when I'm going out, to love talking to girls rather than trying to feel negative emotions and then go numb them with addictions. So I'm really excited to see what kind of growth I can find after I reach that 1 month period. I mean, even the 2 weeks it's still been really good, but the challenge is going to increase, right? Like this week I have to approach 3 girls a week. Next week it's going to be 4 girls a week, and it's going to keep going, right? So the second month and the third month are going to be pretty insane, right? I might just have to spend like hours out every night, and I might even want to, right? I might have the energy to do that, because before it used to take so much energy just to get me out of the house. Yeah. That'd be half my energy usage for the night, was just getting me out of the house. And then the rest of it was used when I was actually out. Whereas now the energy to get me out of the house, a lot of times I don't even think about it. It's like I'm just brushing my teeth or something. Yeah. It's like, this doesn't take any energy. I'm just going out again. Yeah. And thankfully I live very close to Old Town, so I don't have to drive very far to go out. That's really nice. If I had to drive 30 minutes or an hour or something, that'd be kind of annoying.
That'd be tough.
Yeah. I kind of want to start checking out Phoenix, and maybe during the week for the happy hours. Like I was saying, I feel like Phoenix might have a good happy hour vibe downtown. The other thing too about like the growth that I want to experience in the next 2 months is, we talked about wanting to mention, you have to have focused practice sessions on like practicing very specific things. So last week we talked about you have to take action. There's no substitute for taking action. You can't get better if you don't go out and you don't approach girls, right? You just can't do it. But what I've also been realizing this week is that if you just kind of mindlessly approach, that's the only thing you're going to get good at, is approaching, right? But most guys aren't in this so that they can walk up to a girl and say hi. They're in this because they want to go all the way, right? You want to get to the end result, whether it's a girlfriend or a date or sex or something like that. It's fine to go out and mindlessly approach at the beginning, because that's just what you need to get comfortable at. Then it's okay to mindlessly go out, approach, and just have whatever conversations, because that's what you're trying to get good at, right? And what I've been trying to get good at really over the last month is to have more fun and interesting and engaging conversations, and to feel more expressive. I could have small talk like, oh, where are you from? What do you do for work? Kind of boring interview style conversations. But over the last month, it's been heavily focused on more expressive conversations, being not in my head, being more flirty, being more dominant, stuff like that. And I've gotten a lot better at it. And, you see me out.
I see you killing it.
Yeah. So last night, like with the 2 strippers that we were talking to, right?
Yeah.
And if you guys ever, if you're out, if you meet girls like that, they're great girls to practice flirting with because they're very comfortable with being sexual, and you can, really flirt with them, still be calibrated, obviously. But, those are the kinds of girls who aren't going to be shy.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're open to having those type of dynamics too.
Yeah.
So they're not nervous.
Yeah. A lot of people don't forget, girls can be nervous too, guys.
I think most of them are.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're doing, this is not normal stuff. The level of comfort that we're achieving, the skills that we're building, these are things that not a lot of people have. Not a lot of people even think about, right? Most people just think like, oh, you just are the way you are. Or the person you end up with, like, it's just fate or meant to be or something like that. It's not something that you intentionally make happen. Right. And that's why people get stuck in super mediocre and average lives.
Yeah, too. And I feel like every time I go out, I'm surprised at people's lack of social skills.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing how much we're learning, right? That we can communicate, but also like organize and think about, where to go and handle logistics all at the same time. Like, so those I think are skills that are really important for game, but also like things that you need to work on, right? It's not about just going out and having conversations, having fun conversations and flirting with girls, right? And that's kind of leads into what you were saying too, is like at some point you are going to go out and you're going to get comfortable with talking to girls, and then you work on the next thing.
Yeah.
And then you work on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And each time you walk closer to that goal, whatever it is, a girlfriend, sex, or, a party back at your place, whatever it is. But it does kind of come in waves, right? Like we've been going out, working a lot on expressiveness, talking, good conversations, approaching a lot of girls. We're moving on from that now, right? We're moving on to being very captivating, moving girls from one place to another.
Yeah, it kind of brings me to what I'm starting to work on next is I'm starting to work on developing more of my leadership. So you're there, you're having an amazing conversation with girls, you're flirting with girls, they're enjoying the conversation. What do you do next? Like, it's not over at that point, right?
In fact, if you do nothing, it'll fizzle out.
It will. Yeah, because even if you're having a super fun conversation, if you're just standing in one spot for, longer than 20, 30 minutes, they're going to get bored too. They're like, we came out, we want to do all this stuff, but we're kind of just stuck in this one space right now. So the next thing that you want to work on once you get comfortable with that is moving the girls and leading them around. So that could be something small like, oh, if you met them at the bar, take them over to the
patio.
Yeah, the patio or the outdoor area, whatever. Or if you're kind of bored of that bar, you want to take them to a different bar. Say, hey, we're going to go to this place. You want to come? Mm-hmm. And then obviously, if they go with you, that's a clear indicator of interest that they want to spend more time with you, right? Because a lot of times they might just make an excuse like, oh, no, we're going to stay here, but nice to meet you. Or I got to go to the bathroom, something like that.
We get plenty of those too.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing either.
Dude, I make so many girls have to go to the bathroom. It's crazy.
That's funny. I think of it too, like lead them around the bar, but really what are you doing, right? By leading them around the bar, you're showing them a good night, right? You are participating in the creation of a fun experience, right? So it's more than just bringing them from one location to another. It's about assessing the vibe of the group and creating something, right?
Yeah. And creating, we talked about leading the interaction and leading the whole experience, right? So you want them to have this sense of, they can just relax into their feminine and be like, hey, this is great because these guys are going to show us a good time. And they trust you, right? So that's a good place to be in. So then it's your job to do that well. I had a story from last night where I didn't do that so well. We met up with a couple girls at the last venue that we went to. Things seemed to be going really great in the beginning. We were at a downstairs bar. Then we went upstairs into like the club area where like all the music was and everything. And when we got up there, I kind of got in my head a little bit about like, okay, what do we do now? So at one point I did, lead them up the crowd to a closer spot. But then once we kind of got into our spot, I really was kind of like, what do I do now? And
add some background here too, right? These are girls that you reached out to, invited to this event specifically. So they showed up
Yeah.
expecting to see you, to hang out with you, right?
Yeah. I didn't know they were coming. I just mentioned it to them like some point during the week. But yeah, they did show up, and obviously they were excited to see me. I was excited to see them. So yeah, we were planning on spending, the evening together. So once we did get upstairs, and we had our group there, and we were kind of dancing, and I was talking a little bit, flirting a little bit at the beginning, but I don't know, it just wasn't really going anywhere. So I started to back off a little and get a little more in my head, or I just kind of felt like I kind of regressed into that like approval seeking mindset, where it's like, okay, well, I kind of want to do this, but I don't know if that's okay, which is not a good mindset to have as a leader. Right. As a leader, you're in charge, and whatever you say goes.
Yeah.
That's where I really messed up in my thinking, was thinking that I wasn't in charge, basically.
Yeah.
Thinking that like, oh, these girls are going to be in charge and they're going to let me know what I can or cannot do. Huge mistake.
Right.
And I learned a big lesson from that last night, because, eventually the girls walked away after we, tried some maybe slightly uncalibrated, just ways to interact with them. We're working on it, and, I was stretching myself, but I definitely hesitated way too long. And that brought me to the point where I was like, fuck. And I was really disappointed in myself, and that brought up a lot of painful emotions in me, but it was good because, one thing it brought up was a lot of anger and frustration. I was like, shit, like I really kind of blew this situation that was going so well at first. But it's inspired me to want to step up, and it taught me, this is like the key thing, is it really taught me where my edge is and what I really need to work on right now. So now I can go out and really work on that exact thing, leading them, creating the vibe, and not having that approval seeking mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely good to become aware of the approval seeking mentality, but also too, I want to highlight and kind of connect it back to what we were saying, right? When you have a situation like that, like it's an opportunity to show those girls an amazing time, right? So, they were there, they were dancing, they were having fun, but if, the best case situation would have been that we would have held the energy of the group itself, right? We would have made it 10 times more fun by the fact that we're, almost holding the entire group in a bubble of our energy that they can then relax into and then become more expressive with.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't have the opportunity to become expressive and have the most fun they could have had because there's no container for them. So we as men serve to be that container for them.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, right? We create the structure, and then they thrive within it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that structure is not only about leadership in terms of like where are we standing, but also state management, like making sure everyone is having a fun time and is engaged, all the stuff, right? That, it's a combination of many skills that go into your ability to manage, and not only manage girls and groups, but like really inject positive energy into them yourself, so that it is, like I said, you're creating the experience for them.
Yeah. And it's getting your energy flowing outward, whereas my energy was starting to flow inward. I was starting to get in my head, right? Whereas my energy should have been flowing outward. It should have been a more creative energy. It's like, hey, how can I create a better experience? How can I create more fun out of thin air in this moment for everyone? It was a real opportunity for me to step up, and I will admit, like I blew it last night for sure. And the pain of blowing it is good because well, I mean, it could cause you to spiral and give up or something, but obviously that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to step up and work on that skill so that next time I'm in that situation, I'll be stronger.
Yeah. And we've all blown it.
Yeah.
I've blown it many times. I'm going to blow it again.
Yeah.
So understand that it was a good learning opportunity, but also understand that it happens, and that you can't figure out how to lead a group well until you lead a group poorly.
True.
You lead a group poorly once, twice, 5 times, and you learn.
Yeah.
And next time it's a little bit more fun, and you have a little bit stronger of a container for them.
Yeah. You're like, don't do that again. Again, as you go out and you become comfortable with each step, what's going to happen is I'm going to start working on this, and I'm going to start getting better at this. And it's going to lead to the next opportunity, which I'll probably mess up the first time I find myself there.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes the universe lines up, the stars align, and everything goes smoothly from beginning to finish. Like that happens too, right? It's not like the first time I was ever in that situation. I've had that situation many times in the past and I was fine.
Yeah.
But last night in particular, I definitely saw some areas in myself that I have a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
We also talked about last week, it's a feeling, right? So not only it's not like a knowledgeable, oh, this is what I'm going to do in this situation. It's you learn to feel your way through these situations. Like what feels right right now? What did it feel like to lead the girls in a good way, last time? And then repeat that feeling essentially and operate from that feeling, right? You create
That's a
from
really
that
good
feeling.
point. Yeah, it is feeling based. I agree 100%.
Because the thinking, right? We talked about this last night. The thinking, that's your consciousness. That's 5%, right? So just real quick, anyone listening, your conscious awareness of life, like your decisions, the things you do, your behaviors and everything, you have 5% of that is conscious, meaning like what you're doing, what you're thinking about, what you're aware of. And then the rest of your awareness is all subconscious. So it's like 95%. And you guys can look this up. Most of what you do is subconscious and unconscious. So you don't even realize you're doing it.
And this is actions. 95% of your actions are based from subconscious programming. Is that a correct way to understand it?
Yeah, I think it's actions or maybe behaviors.
Okay,
I don't know the exact difference between the two, but it's just like every little thing, right? Like if you're talking to someone, you might not, right? Like I'm moving my hand, gesturing when I'm talking, right? A lot of times I might not even know I'm doing that, right? It's just a subconscious thing that I do. So when you're out, you think that you can think your way into better game, right? Because your conscious mind is what you have conscious control over. But that 5% is always going to be fighting against the other 95% if they're not in alignment.
Yeah.
Which is why memorizing like things to say doesn't work.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you might have something memorized that's your 5% conscious, but if that 5% is fighting against the rest of you and it's not in alignment, it's going to come off weird or creepy or uncalibrated. And people are going to be like, wait, what? This is not making any sense. Like why are you so weird? Right?
Yeah. Hey, we've all been there.
So you have to get the feelings, right? That's more like your subconscious. You have to get the feelings in alignment because your behaviors are more determined by your feelings than they are by your thoughts, which is again, why it's so hard because you can walk into a bar and be like, I'm going to approach 20 girls tonight. And you walk in there and you have so much approach anxiety and you don't approach anyone, you go home, right? It's not because you thought wrong. It's because you felt wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good way to say it.
So you have to get comfortable with feeling. That's something that obviously we're getting so good at is being in our body and being more aware of our feelings when we're out. And if we're feeling something negative, accepting that so that we can let it go and then get back into a better feeling and lead from that.
I like what you said too. The game is a feeling thing. It's not a thinking thing.
Yeah.
At all. I think that's a result of the way that human beings work, right? Like when we go out, when we interact, we want to feel good. When you think, it doesn't feel good to other people when you're up in your head. So game is definitely a feeling thing.
No, it definitely doesn't. Because I was even thinking about, so I'm going to start taking some improv comedy classes this week to just help me be more in the present moment, because improv comedy is all about that. It's all about being present, not judging yourself, not judging the things you're saying, so that your brain can enter a flow state and make connections that are like funny. And I was literally thinking about this today as just an example. Is like, okay, if someone's, if you're at like an improv comedy show and you're watching them on stage, right? What do you want from them? You don't want them to be in their head.
No.
You're rooting for them to be present in the moment. But if they're in their head, right, energetically, like what they're saying, it would be like just stopping the show and looking at the audience and be like, hey guys, what do you want me to say?
It'd be very robotic. Yeah.
And we'd be like, what? You're the one on stage. Like, why are you asking me what to say? Right. But the comedian's just on stage like, I don't know what to say, guys. What should I say?
Right.
That's not what we want. Like, we're rooting for you, right? And think about that, like when you're talking to a girl, like she's probably rooting for you too. Don't be weird. Don't not know what to say. Just say something and express from your body, express from your being, express from your feelings what you really want to say.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be more fun, right? Because if it's improv comedy, it's going to be way more fun if people are just like expressing themselves off the dome, like being silly, even if what they say is ridiculous. The more ridiculous, the better a lot of the times, right? So don't think you have to say the right thing. There's no such thing as the right thing to say.
Yeah. And that's like a big part of if a joke is funny is the delivery. It's the energy behind it. It's not the joke itself.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with game. Like we've talked about it. Like if you go up to a girl and like say something forward, if you are, tight and don't actually believe in what you're saying, she's not going to receive it. But if you're truly in your body, you feel comfortable, you are not judgmental of yourself, and you're just like sharing your truth with her, it'll hit. It'll be so much better.
Absolutely. If you feel good, she feels good.
Yeah.
Right? That's when the law of state transference, right? Whatever you feel, she feels. No matter what. So if you feel anxious and creepy, guess what she's feeling?
Feel that way,
she's going to feel that way. But if you're feeling fun and flirty and light, that's how she's going to feel. She's going to feel fun and flirty, like, oh, this is a good time. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Right? We're social creatures. We have evolved mechanisms in our brain to feel what other people are feeling, right? We have empathy.
I love that. What did you say? State transfer?
The law of state transference.
Where'd that come from?
This is an old school pickup.
Yeah.
I have a lot of old school pickup knowledge. So, but yeah, the law of state transference is whatever you feel, she feels.
That's huge.
It is huge. And that's why, we talk a lot about getting into a better state, right? Is not just so that you can talk more and you can talk better or whatever, but it's so that you feel better, so that she feels better when she's talking to you,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you want the people that you're interacting with to feel good. That's going to be like so much of your game. It's just how people feel around you.
I feel like that's 80-90% of game.
It's so much and there's different feelings, right? Like someone could feel good around you, but it could just be in a friendly way, right? So like with girls, you want her to feel good. Like you want her to feel like, hey, this is fun and I'm enjoying this. But obviously at the same time, you're going to want her to feel turned on as well. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to not only feel good and fun, but you're going to have to feel like turned on in your own body to be able to create sexual tension with her so that she can feel that from you.
Yeah, definitely. When I learned about like what it means to be turned on in my own body, like not like ready for sex turned on, but like feeling, the pulsating, tingling energies of life inside of my body.
Yeah.
In front of a woman, it makes so much difference. So much difference.
Yeah. And women are typically much more sensual creatures than men are. So they're a lot more in tune with their sensuality. And I don't mean sensuality in a sexual way. I just mean by sensing, right?
Yeah.
Sensuality, right? They're sensing everything that's going on in their bodies. They're more socially aware and stuff like that. So they're typically just a lot more present. They're not going to be as in their heads typically as men will. Because men, we can get very cerebral, right? And just be frontal
lobe
right?
focused, yeah.
And a lot of guys, I think they just grow up only using that, right? Yeah. They don't grow up doing a whole lot of socializing or even like sports or stuff like that, being in their bodies. It's either just video games, schoolwork, just head, right? Like all head energy.
There's a stereotype that engineers can't get girls, and that's the reason, is because engineering is pure frontal lobe.
Yeah, it's great for problem solving.
It is.
That's what the frontal lobe is for.
But it's not great for communicating. It's not great for turning a girl on. That's for
Definitely not. And it's the last part of the human brain that evolved. So it really has nothing to do with attraction signaling, right?
Because that was happening way before that.
Exactly, right? Yeah. That's been happening since the beginning. Right. So that's the most base instinct that we have as human beings, right? So if you're trying to communicate with a girl logically, it
doesn't happen.
It does not work in any way, shape, or form, because that part of the brain has nothing to do with being sexually aroused.
Yeah. This is good for guys, right? This is getting back to our bodies, getting back to our primal side, our side that's aligned with feeling and energy and nature and all that stuff. And so it's good to work on getting good at talking to girls and turning them on, because it brings you back to yourself.
Exactly. Be a caveman. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Cavemen got girls, right? And not by thinking about it. Mm-mm. They just walked around, being brutes and killing animals and creating shelters and, like you said earlier, making the container for the feminine to, thrive within.
Yeah.
Right? You don't sit there and think about it.
Yeah, go spend some time in nature.
Definitely.
Go for a float.
Yeah.
Stop thinking so much about life. Enjoy it,
Yeah, just spend more time feeling in your body, right? That's going to change so much for so many guys, especially guys. If you're really not used to that, it will really change a lot for you. It might bring up some stuff. So just be aware, because the first thing you might start to feel is repressed emotions.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult to manage, but just understand that that's a good thing. And if some difficult emotions come up, just feel it. You're not going to die. You might feel uncomfortable. You might cry. You might feel angry, rage, grief, fear, stuff like that, or longing, right? You might get in touch with some deep-rooted desire that hasn't been fulfilled or met in your life. And it might not feel comfortable at first, but once you feel that and let that go and you relax more into your body, you're going to become a much more appealing guy to the opposite sex.
You're just going to feel good to women.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
all right, cool. I think that was a pretty good talk for this week.
Good talk, yeah.
Anything you want to add?
Not really. I like that I kind of came up with that on the spot, but like leadership and creating a good night for women is exactly that, is creating a container for which they can have a good night inside.
Yeah.
Right? Because they won't have as much fun on their own. But if you can create a container for them, it gives them the opportunity to let their guards down and then really have that expressive experience.
Yeah, I think that works because I just feel like that's really in line with the nature of masculine and feminine dynamics.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what you enjoyed about this episode. Have you ever had a moment where you really blew it and you felt bad about it?
I have.
Hey, we've all been there. I've had so many moments.
Yeah.
So, and it's good for me to be able to come here and, be honest and vulnerable and share like, hey, I fucked up too.
That sucked. Yeah. But that's okay.
But hopefully next week I'll be back telling you about how I absolutely crushed it and still crushing my 90-day challenge. I've stayed good on that. I've approached girls every day. I've been staying off the substances and the explicit internet matter. So, and I'm feeling good, feeling really good about that.
Love that.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up this week for Practically Famous. Hope you guys go out there and crush it this week, achieve all your goals. And until next week, go talk to some girls.
Peace.